A new study by European scientists is raising questions about the origins of the deadly coronavirus. The study, which has yet to be peer-reviewed, was led by researchers from the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. The research suggests that the first outbreak of the virus may have gone undetected and happened as early as September 2019. That's 4 months before the first cases of a new mystery illness were reported to the World Health Organization at the end of December. Researchers also think the spread started south of the central Chinese city of Wuhan, which is where doctors first noticed the outbreak that has grown into a global pandemic. In an exclusive interview with the South China Morning Post, Peter Forster, a geneticist at Cambridge University, explained,
"The virus may have mutated into its final human-efficient form months ago, but stayed inside a bat or other animal, or even human, for several months without infecting other individuals. Then it started infecting and spreading among humans between September 13 and December 7.
So what's the science behind this hypothesis? The research team analyzed 1,001 strains of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, which causes COVID-19. The samples were collected from around the world. Using an algorithm called a phylogenetic network that can map the global movement of organisms through the mutation of their genes, the scientists were able to reconstruct what they theorize is the first significant spread of the virus. The data indicates that it may have happened 4 months earlier than the first recorded case of infection. But the team has not been able to pinpoint the first infected person, also known as Patient Zero. Scientists say finding that person could be crucial in understanding and ultimately controlling the pandemic. In an interview with The Post in February, Dr. Sarah Ballwine, an infectious disease expert at Hong Kong's Central Health Medical Practice, said,
"Figuring out who Patient Zero was wouldn't give us all the answers, but it would help to map the path the virus has taken and how it's travelling. It's hard to draw that map without knowing where it starts."
Identifying Patient Zero would allow doctors and health officials to trace that person's movements, find out who he or she infected, and in turn the people they infected, and so on. Every country or region that has been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic has its own Patient Zero, the first person to bring the coronavirus into the country. And some of them have been successfully identified. Patient Zeros in Thailand, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, Singapore, Vietnam, the Philippines, and the United States had all been in Wuhan just before they became ill. In many instances, officials were able to isolate these patients and those who had immediate contact with them, and by doing that they limited human-to-human transmission. But as more people were infected with the coronavirus and traveled internationally, the situation quickly went out of control, because the sources of new infections were no longer linked to those Patient Zeros. Professor John Nichols, a pathologist at Hong Kong University, told The Post,
"There are so many outbreaks and hotspots around the world, and this virus appears to spread more rapidly than SARS, so it's going to be a big challenge to accurately pinpoint Patient Zero. Epidemiological resources would be better at mitigating the spread rather than looking back."
Professor Nichols was part of the expert team that pinpointed the origins of the SARS pandemic in 2002 and 2003. In that instance, Patient Zero was a 64-year-old medical professor from the Chinese city of Guangzhou who had infected at least 13 tourists staying at this hotel in Hong Kong. But far fewer people were infected by SARS than have been by COVID-19. And a search for the very first person in the world to be infected with the coronavirus that has caused this pandemic may be like looking for a genetic needle in a haystack of infections. So what did the Cambridge-led research team learn about the origins of this virus? They say their research shows that SARS-CoV-2 originated from bats. Genetic analysis found this is a 96% identical match to a coronavirus isolated by Chinese scientists from bat droppings in the southwestern province of Yunnan in 2013. But the remaining 4% of genes that differ are the results of hundreds of mutations, and it's unknown over what period of time those mutations took place. But because of the level of mutation, some scientists suspect the virus may have been spreading quietly in host animals and humans for years before it evolved into what it is today. But how reliable is the algorithm used by the Cambridge-led research to arrive at their theory about when the first COVID-19 outbreak started? Other scientists say the phylogenetic network has its limits. They say the accuracy of the time estimate is based on sample size and assumptions about how quickly the virus mutated. In a global pandemic like this, the virus could be mutating in unpredictable patterns. Su Bing, a genetic researcher with the Kunming Institute of Zoology, told the Post,
"So it cannot be very precise. There's always a margin for error. This work may provide some important clues to future investigations, but the conclusions should be treated with caution."
The origins of the virus have also become a politically sensitive issue. US President Donald Trump has called it a Chinese virus, and 2 American news networks quoted unnamed sources in the American government saying the virus could have come from a virology institute in Wuhan. Meanwhile, Beijing has suggested a conspiracy theory saying the virus was made and introduced to China by US soldiers taking part in a sporting event in Wuhan. But the world's top life scientists have long dismissed these theories. They say all existing scientific evidence points to a natural origin. But where?
If I am pressed for an answer, I would say the original spread started more likely in southern China than in Wuhan. Proof can only come from analyzing more bats, possibly other potential host animals, and preserved tissue samples in Chinese hospitals stored between September and December. This kind of research project would help us understand how the transmission happened, and help us prevent similar instances in the future.
Ultimately, only more research can help scientists come closer to understanding what happened and pinpointing the mysterious origins of SARS-CoV-2.